Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me for Stay Free with Russell Brand. And what a spectacular and special day it is. While all around the world seems to be in despair and disruption, we have found a line that we can follow. Confidence means with faithfulness, confidelity. And we are confident because we follow a righteous path. Narrow is the gateway, though, so watch out. If you're watching us anywhere other than Rumble or Rumble Premium, get on over here to Rumble. Yes, X is a fine platform, but they don't pay us. Rumble pay us. Get over here so we can fund the war. Ka-chicka-kang. We're in a holy war. That's the noise guns making it. Ka-chicka-kang. Joining me, as always, is beloved Jake Smith. Nice hat.
Hey, thank you. It's good to hear you say something kind.
Well, there you go. It's once in a while. It's going to happen once in a while. Dave Fields is with us, you great field of wonder and glory. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Happy birthday for the other day.
Thank you.
Few people having birthdays. Just go on and on, birthdays. Well, I'll tell you this. If Joe and Massey, my beloved friends in the United Kingdom, right, one time I was with 50 Cent and it was my birthday, right? And I was interviewing 50 Cent and I sort of go to him, it's funny interviewing you because it's my birthday. And like he was just like, yeah. I said it a couple more times, see if I could get a tune out of him. Couldn't. It's my birthday though, Sean. Like, not Sean, that's the other one. That's the one he's making a film about. But Fiddy's got a proper name. I know, isn't it? What's Fiddy's real life name? They've always got a name, rappers, that sort of undermines them. Like Clarence Curtis, or Claude.
Curtis.
Curtis. That's it. Curtis. Well done, Joe. Well done. Joe, I like it. What I liked it for, there was this brief moment in our friendship when you would send me like rappers that were still making their stuff in jail and like using like my microphone was a phone hanging out of like, you were like, oh, that's the thing they give you for the bathroom in jail.
Yeah,
who were them? British grime. From a bed
sheet. That was Mazarel 20. Mazarel 20? Yeah, Mazarel 20. And a kiddie called Marge Malone was the other one.
Shout out to them lads. Doing the hard yards behind bars, out on the landing, finding new and unique understanding. Our brothers that are incarcerated, we send love to you. We pray for your freedom, particularly those of you that are jailed unjustly because of corrupt and disgusting systems. We tell you there is a way out. We will help to forge ahead the pathways for you. And come the day of the glorious revolution, you will be freed! Freed to fight the only battle that matters. Over the course of the show today, we're going to be talking about the ice raids in Roblox. My word. I let my kids play those Roblox. I hope they're conducting those ice raids responsibly. We're talking about the rise in Christianity, thank the Lord. And we're also sort of, this is my question, and I'd like to put it to all of you. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Do you think the Epstein files are serving as a kind of revelation that's bringing about the kind of beast mentality of the end times? Like, when you read, even in Matthew or Daniel or Ezekiel, and of course the book of Revelation, what the end times will be like, you get the idea that we're being primed for a time of false prophets, false idolatry. The beast will come, nation will fight nation. There's going to be earthquakes, there's going to be famines. Let me know in the comments and chat if the Epstein files and these kind of icky, disgusting, insidious underbelly, upward ooze like venom, a percolating funk coming up from the soil itself, kind of is a signal to you that the world is changing and it's changing fast. If you know, and if you're listening to me now, you can tell I'm a person who's got the Lord with me. Thank you, God, for being with me. Come see me in Florida, in the Panhandle, doing my show. A funny thing happened on my way to church. There's a link in description. You can get tickets there. I'm doing some shows on the 16th, 17th of Feb, March 2nd and 3rd, around that kind of time. Come see me. It's good stuff. Okay, let's get straight into the content without any more what I would call wanking around. If you're watching us in the UK, we're very interested in the disruption and despair in the UK. If you're watching us in the United States of America on Rumble, welcome. Thanks for watching us. We're talking about your country where people are turning to Christ in record numbers, perhaps because of the Epstein files and perhaps just because everyone's sick and tired of a disgusting society. Now, Roblox is a new sensation, and in the same way that when I was growing up, people would say, don't listen to NWA. People are now saying, don't play Roblox. Is Roblox a tool of the devil, or is it just harmless fun? Certainly kids are doing ice raids in it. Let's have a look. Tough times for the Mexicans in Roblox there, or actually we're more likely Venezuelans, I suppose, in Roblox. Here is RFK, friend of the show, friend in general, who I've noted posts at the moment on an almost daily basis something of practical help to you, like don't drink oat milk. Do you remember when they were telling us to drink oat milk? I was sloshing that stuff like it was whiskey or champagne or something viable and trustworthy. I was sloshing it down my neck. I'd have been better off drinking monkey's cum. It says here, does RFK, that God talks to human beings through many vectors. Let's have a look at that. What does he mean?
God talks to human beings through many vectors, through each other, through organized religions, through the great books of those religions, through wise people and the prophets, and through nature. Nowhere with such texture and grace and joy as through other human beings. And when we cut off our relationships with other human beings, we lose that access to the divine. And that is a healing power. We are in a spiritual malaise in this country. And we need to give people access to all different ways of reconnecting with something that is higher than themselves.
Certainly that seems to be a fundamental problem and challenge, and why I feel doubly blessed is because as a person in 12-step recovery, I've been shown through the obvious metric of dependency on a chemical, in my case heroin and crack, old school drugs. That's like, you know, someone using a Nokia phone these days. I know you have like fancy new fentanyl and meth that you can make at home, and fentanyl that can kill you if you shake its hand. In my day, you had to take heroin properly like a grown-up. You had to queue up, line up, you had to stand under a bridge, you had to go to a phone box. Well, nevertheless, those things serve as very identifiable and recognisable false idols. But even when you're off drugs, way off of drugs, and looking instead for a spiritual solution to what was always a spiritual problem, you recognise incrementally that you're probably attached to your identity, to your job, to things that might not at first look seem to be particularly negative, like food or sex or pornography or whatever. So what do you think of RFK's announcement that in fact there is a spiritual malaise across the United States of America? Can you see that almost in every issue underneath it there is a spiritual problem, whether it's the ICE raids and the crisis associated with those ICE raids, i.e. compassion unrooted from orthodoxy, or you could see that authority doesn't seem like it's connected to the people that are being impacted by that authority. I'm aware that I need to clear my throat. I can hear that. I'm going to do it right now. Out you come, you glorious thing. That's probably caused by oat milk or one of the other alternatives. There are worse white substances you could be sloshing down your neck hole. Let me tell you that. What do you think about the spiritual crisis in the United States of America, Dave? Can you feel it? Do you feel that in the last show we had, you talked about how the principles of recovery could be useful in forming new democracies, and in our show in a minute, Crack On, that's the name of it, Crack On with Joe, Dave and Russell. We'll be talking about selfishness, the root of these problems. Do you see your country, America, as a place that's in spiritual malaise as described by Secretary Kennedy there?
Yeah, for sure. I don't, maybe it has been for a long time though, and we're just seeing it come out more. I mean, I think probably most countries or most people just in general are in a spiritual malaise.
Yeah. People are switched off. People have been sort of dialed down.
Yeah.
Actually, we're pretty blessed where we live, because this part of the world where we live, people are switched on spiritually. It's by and large a Christian community. I've noticed the problem that you get there is where you have default Christianity, people probably don't investigate, that's just my assessment based on living here for a year, what I would call the darkness. Whereas if you live in a secular culture, you may reify and even worship the darkness. You may be trying to make an identity out of your sexuality. You may be trying to make an identity out of your status. And I don't say that those things aren't occurring within Christianity, but if you are a church-going, Bible-reading Christian, you will at least be aware that those things are explicitly anathema and outside of the covenant. We're living in a time of sort of radical change, but at least I suppose in the United States of America, loathed though he may be by the left, who, you know, for the establishment left, I mean, Because I still hold a candle for the people of the left that are true radicals, that are willing to sacrifice and suffer for what they believe in. I don't mean, when I say the left, I don't mean people that are really, really rich, that go to fancy galas and wring their hands and bleed their hearts. That's not the left. The left when I was a kid was like fucking people like armed with Kalashnikovs going around Latin America starting revolutions as nature intended. No. What I mean by the left these days is people that just will say things that are of the left. Well, our president, your president, Donald Trump, says there's going to be a day of Christian worship on the 17th of May. We will rededicate America as one nation under God. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat, particularly if you're not a Christian.
We are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people, and maybe that's part of the reason that we're doing so well. There's such great spirit. It's all spirit, and it includes religion. I've always said, you just can't have a great country if you don't have religion. You have to believe in something. You have to believe that what we're doing, there's a reason for it. There has to be a reason for it. We're all working and we're behaving. I mean, I behave because I'm afraid not to, okay? Because I don't want to get in trouble.
I think this geezer's authentic. Every time I drift sometimes into thinking, don't get into the false idolatry of liking Trump. And also because I still watch a lot of content generated by people from the liberal establishment left. I see their rage. You know, if you watch the Grammys and then saw Trump acting like that, how do you reconcile that with their fierce vehemence and certain condemnation of him as a sort of an antichrist figure when he's personable? When you sort of see in scripture the idea of false prophets and antichrists, you know they're going to be very sophisticated. And like, I'm not saying that Trump isn't advanced intellectually in a variety of ways that make him effective as a president. Plainly he is, but he lacks a certain type of sophistication. Do you know what I mean by that? He's like sort of going, I behave because, you know, like, look at it, it's very sort of natural and like a normal guy in a weird way.
Like he lacks deception. Like it's that, you know, false pretense.
That's right. I mean,
he's too messy for it almost.
Yeah, there's an authenticity to him that he leans into that's been present with him presumably prior to his presidential campaigns, but I wasn't paying attention to him in that sort of way. I just, you know, he's in Home Alone 2, there he is, you know, being mentioned in a rap lyric. Like, I weren't paying it, he wrote that book, Art of the Deal. I didn't really, you know, I wasn't interested, like most people, I suppose. But from the moment that he's been campaigning, right at the beginning, I'd love to watch again. Massey, we should do this actually. We made a video, like when I was still doing the Trues, when Trump first announced, and he said the thing like, you know, we got rapists and racists and very bad people coming over here. Like when he did that, hey, my impression's improving. Like when like we did a video like sort of going, Trump can't be president, he's an idiot, and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to watch that again, as a matter of fact, because what I think now is that the problems you have with Trump are the problems you have that are endemic and embedded in the system, and even things that might be considered ghouling, like with his first term, the Muslim ban, the Muslim travel ban, right? Or this term, the ICE stuff. Both of those things are to do with nationhood. But a nation is, and as a concept, includes exclusivity. So for those of you that think that those two issues in particular, the Muslim travel ban and the migration issue, are appalling, and I speak of someone who has a great deal of compassion for people of different faiths and colours, and I do believe in the possibility of people with different ideological and religious beliefs harmoniously living together if there is some kind of consensus, like you were saying yesterday, Jake, as long as there is some sort of belief that this is what we're doing. Like, as you said, Jake was saying about 12-step programs. Well, if you're in a 12-step program, you're there consenting that no matter what, you're not going to drink or take drugs. Well, no matter what, you could say we love America, but that's such a diffuse idea, and you can break down every term in it. You can break down America, because that's what's happening right now. Some people are saying, no, America is a nation of immigrants and it's run by a migrant and you should have no... And I can sort of see that, and I can scripturally back that idea. But what I suppose I'm always... enchanted by in Trump is a level of authenticity that was mimicked ineffectively by Biden. He was trying to be, I'm like a lovely old guy. And even when Jim Carrey did him on SNL, they were trying to make it like Joe Biden's a folksy old dude, like that's like on a stoop somewhere or on a porch pontificating. But that's not what Joe Biden is. Joe Biden was, God, I don't say God rest his soul, I mean he's sort of essentially dead, but like no, he's living, I don't mean to be mean. Like he's a product of Washington, and Trump is a product of commerce, isn't he, and marketing, but he's not a product of the swamp. So whatever flaws he has, they're not the same sorts of flaws that you're going to get from with a Gavin Newsom, a Kamala Harris, even an AOC who seems to have become quickly embedded and mind-venomed into the system. Anyway, there's a lot there. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and the chat, and let me know. And also what he's saying is, I would surrender to God and I'm afraid of God, and that's the very kind of thing that I want to hear from people, and to tell you the truth, we could do with in the UK, particularly in this time of crisis. And that's what we're asking today. Are the Epstein files and the revelations of the Epstein files showing us that we need to return to Christ, that our models of nation are broken? In the United States, you can see that from its peculiar and broken culture, and in the UK, you can see it from systems that are crumbling and falling apart. You only need to look at Keir Starmer, hands shaking as he stands in Parliament, trembling. Look at those clips. In fact, look at it now. That clip of Keir Starmer, his hand shaking as he apologises for Peter Mandelson, and recognise that what's required is radical change. And it's not just the Epstein files, is it? Because Britain is a country that has, it seems, ceded to all sorts of corruption, among them sexual corruption. I'm of course referring to the rape gang scandal. Now, our old friends at Polymarket, who, they'll let you gamble on near enough anything, or at least pontificate on anything, are saying that overnight, the odds of Christ returning have doubled. I mean, it's still only a 4% chance, and frankly, how would Polymarket know, or anyone using Polymarket from whom their aggregated data is accrued? But whether he's likely to return or not, one thing that seems certain is that we bloody well need him. We need him in the United States of America, and we need him in the United Kingdom. Look at this story, for example. This is the testimony of a rape gang survivor, and in fact, for the documentary, we should locate and find this person. This is the testimony of a rape gang survivor. Let's have a look. There's a very big network. It's in Derby, Birmingham, there's Sheffield, there's Newcastle, there's Leeds, there's Barnsley. You get taken to, say, Burton. Oh my God, I've been there quite a lot of times, like in the Midlands. And then he'd take you to a house, and then they'd send men in like a conveyor belt. What's going on? What is happening? Let me know in the comments and chat if you see these things as indications of the end times, and see if you can kind of make the connection between, on one level, there are these low-level proletariat rape gangs, and then there are these esoteric upper echelon sex trafficking, essentially rape gangs still, rape gangs that have as their members some of the most important and powerful people in the world, who nevertheless are compromised and controlled by forces more powerful yet. And in the reckoning of former MP and free speech hero Andrew Bridgen, former member of parliament, that's like he was a congressman, got kicked out for telling the truth, Andrew Bridgen is pointing out that some of the documentation in this recent set of releases confirmed that Epstein was a Mossad trained spy. And then he goes on to say, bet the BBC won't report this. They'll be sticking with the Russia narrative. UK MSM is actually laughable. So I suppose Epstein was close to former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. Barak trained as a spy under him. Netanyahu was a criminal. Interesting information, the kind of information that gets people killed. So let me know if you agree with me that what the Epstein files ultimately represent is a kind of satanic power. It's a revelation that your life and everything in it is downstream of spiritual warfare. You are participating in it every time you make a choice, whether you reach for the candy or the pornography or for foul language and profanity, as I frequently do. You've seen the show. I bet I've cursed a bunch of times already today. You are a participant. You are a combatant in the spiritual war. The environment you live in is not neutral. It's a charged environment that wants you on low frequency activity, distracted and hypnotized continually. The Epstein files has brought it to the forefront, and thankfully, many people are turning to Christ. Now, I happen to believe that I've met in my own life, and this is something I'm still trying to work out, people that are not in Christ that are nevertheless holy. To give you one specific example, Amma. So I know there are saintly and brilliant people that are not Christian, and yet I know for certain that we need Christ more than ever. The Epstein files shows us that. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. We're going to have a quick message now from one of our partners, and after that we'll be back with Crack On with Joe and Dave, our recovery podcast where we talk about matters connected to recovery. And if you're not recovering from drugs, well, you must be recovering from something. And if you're living in the UK or the USA right now, sometimes it seems like drugs wouldn't be a bad alternative. Let's have a look at this message. Here's what separates speculation from pattern recognition. Gold and silver didn't surge last year by accident. They moved because confidence in the system is thinning, and history has seen this movie already. Debt expands, currency weakens, and people who were told everything was under control suddenly discover it isn't. Venezuela didn't fall apart overnight. It eroded, then collapsed. That's why True Gold Republic exists. Not to sell fear, but to explain reality. True Gold Republic has released a 2026 expert guide that breaks down why gold and silver are rising, what those moves signal heading into 2026, and how physical metals can help restore a measure of financial independence. This is the same conversation True Gold Republic has been having with Americans who don't want guesses, they want strategy. Do you want strategy, not guesses? Get the free 2026 expert guide now at stayfreegold.com or call 800-300-4653. True Gold Republic believes that preparation isn't panic, it's foresight. Are you a prepper? Prepare now. Go to stayfreegold.com or ring the number in the link and description. Stay Free Gold. Preparation ain't panic, baby. Welcome back. Thank you for the support. Surely you've noticed these days that we're on some periphery of Armageddon. You might want to start investing in cryptocurrencies and maybe even precious metals of yesteryear. We had a conversation with one of the sponsors of our show, Sam O'Brien, happens to be English, from Stay Free Gold, who will explain to you why you should use actual lumps of real precious metals. And to tell you the truth, he gave me a couple of lumps of actual precious metal. I keep worrying because they are pieces of silver, so I've got like real fear around Judas vibes, but these are just two pieces of actual silver, what he gave me, that I'm going to give my daughters. So have a look at this. We'll be back in a second. Sam O'Brien, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I have in my hand some actual... Tell me and the audience what these are that I'm holding in my hands.
These are silver American Eagle coins. So these are a rare commodity these days. These have gone up a lot. Today these are about $85-$90 a piece.
Would they once have been $1?
They have legal tender value for $1, yeah, but worth that, they haven't been worth $1 in a long time. But if you bought them like a year ago, they probably would have been about $20, $25 a piece.
Is it actually made of silver?
Yeah, pure silver.
I really like holding this. Like, isn't it interesting, like the way that everything's become so ethereal and abstract and digital that it makes you feel like just holding. Unfortunately, it's not 30 pieces of silver because that's what that. Judas, what were you thinking? What were you thinking, Judas? And even the Lord would have forgiven him, I understand. Father Mike Schmidt said in a podcast the other day. So an actual piece of silver, a silver dollar is worth $85. So that's an interesting indication of how inflation operates, and that the government does literally have a license to print money, and banks print money. And I learned that from a very reliable source, Jeffrey Epstein. He's not a personal friend, but I did see him say it in a video. I was on a flight with him one time. He said we were going to go to a party. He's got an island. I'm like, I've never been to Epstein Island. Sam. But Jeffrey Epstein is actually good on finance. He really understood that stuff. Not so good on morality, it turned out. Not so good on that, but can't have everything, can you? So is it that you feel that our audience should be investing in silver and gold because it's a more effective way to invest, save, grow? Why should
100%. I think that most Americans right now sit in a position where they might have money in the stock market or money in just paper dollars, right? And since we've come off the gold standard, dollars have just kind of gone down and down in value because we just have... Money used to be backed by something, right? It used to be backed by the gold standard. We all kind of remember that. And that was where the central banks and governments held gold and they said, look, this dollar is exchangeable for gold, right? Or silver as well in some circumstances. Then in the 70s, we came off the gold standard. And from that point, it's just, that at that point, gold was $45 an ounce. Today, it's at $5,000 an ounce. So that's just like real case scenario where dollars now are backed by absolutely nothing. So it's what we call fiat currency now. So it's just a currency, right? What you're holding in your hand is money. That's like real, what we've always used. In the Bible, they use gold and silver for money. Before that, it's always been evergreen. It's always lasted. So currencies kind of come and go. The dollar, the pound, the yen, whatever it may be, they've come and go. Cryptocurrencies have fallen a little bit today as well. So these are all things that aren't really backed by anything. But I'm
going to push back on two things, even though do you know what I'm reminded of? At Christmas, when you get like gold coins, always good, wasn't it? It's a good stocking filler, that. Everything else in the stocking, what a lot of bollocks. A tangerine, do me a favour, soap on a rope, fuck off. But them gold coins, you can actually pick his little edges and there's chocolate in there, magnificent. Now, there's two things I want to remark on. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, as in there's something that bears the image of the empire or Babylon. Clearly belongs to that domain and that realm. This here, you can almost sort of feel its weight and its value. This is what I sense we might be on the edge of, Sam O'Brien, is I think we're on the edge of some seismic financial rupture. Now, when it comes more to the sort of matters of currency exchange and value that you're discussing from your position of an expert, an entrepreneur, because your business is True Gold Republic and you're one of the sponsors of this show, right? You're saying that silver and gold are reliable because they're actual and they have a measurable and I suppose to some degree finite value. Now there's two people who I know would push back. One is Max Kaiser, cryptocurrency guy, high priest. Oh no, cryptocurrency, that's what he'd say like that. Right now I can see him. Oh yeah, even silver and gold, yeah, like that. That's how he'd go. I don't know what he'd actually say, but I know he'd say that cryptocurrency is the perfect currency because of the way that it can be communicated. And here on Rumble now we have a Bitcoin wallet, and if you want to make a donation to me, do. If you don't want to, don't. It'll be the same to me. I've totally detached from that kind of thing. I've detached from it entirely. The other thing is my mate Nick, right, self-made man, trains dogs for the government, right? Imagine that. Trains dogs for the government. The government needs dogs now. Now, he started off just as a dog trainer. Then he ended up training. He's a Marine, so he's double large. You can't mess with him. I do jiu-jitsu with him. He's a right bastard. Yeah. The only thing that's surprising is how neat he keeps his beard. Like someone that keeps their beard that neat, you think, well, he's got to care about something other than just being brutal. Anyway, he says that Warren Buffett says, and all them high-level dudes say, just invest in the indexes. The indexes, if you invest in the indexes. So is this better than investing in the indexes like the S&P or whatever?
Gold has outperformed the S&P for the last 25 years, substantially. And if you look at even inflated adjustments of like how many ounces of gold it would take to buy, say one share in the S&P 500, even that's massively outperformed over the last 20 years. So yeah, if you want dividends and you want cash flow and stuff like that, then you might want to invest into the stock market. But I think everyone can kind of see right now that the stock market is massively overinflated. There's a lot of new money going into AI, into tech, and it's all kind of on promised future returns, right? All these AI companies are promising the world, but in terms of like actual profit, like not that many of them actually been proven. So really, if you want to make $1 million overnight and you want a high risk investment, then for sure you can do AI stocks and cryptos and whatever you may want. But this is something which is more stable and secure. And it's really an insurance policy, is that if all else fails, then you have what you're holding in your hand. Right. And no one's going to take that away from you unless you're not good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, good at jiu-jitsu or they're fully armed. And I've been learning these new techniques. I'm learning these techniques from this guy, right, who he's a martial arts, he's a former undercover cop and martial arts expert. And when he was one time undercover in a drug deal, the drug dealer tried to stab him and kill him. And he realized that all of his training up to that point was of minimal value. And he realized that what you really needed, it turns out, is how to be able to kill someone in a car with and he learned that, and he's teaching me it. It's actually quite, well, it's hard actually and difficult, and you have a lot of it involves pushing your head in people's faces and stuff that's quite counterintuitive. Anyway, look, the thing is, Sam, I'm into this. Remember when I used to be a stand-up comedian, like, for hire, I would turn up at a stand-up show, do like a gig. When someone gave you 500 quid, in cash, even though that was filthy fiat currency, not worth the paper it was written on, even though there was them big brown tenors with Her Majesty on them back in them days, not Charles peeping out, oh, sorry, it's not worked out. Proper money, right? Back in them days, I loved it, getting paid in real money. Now, will you pay me for this interview in these?
We could definitely do that. Yeah,
Alex, I'd rather have this. Like, then you feel like you've got something. But I know what happened around my house. My kid, if I put this in ashtray or somewhere accessible, my kids will nick this, but they're going to get it anyway down the line, and I can't live forever. So, like,
but you raise a good point though, because like back then, to say that was what 15, 20 years ago, you would have got paid £500 like in cash. And if you just put that in the safe, right, then £500 20 years ago was like a decent chunk of change, right? You could maybe buy a
used car.
Yeah.
I could get a used car. I did. I got a used car. I got a used car for £400.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, my first car was a VW Polo, 1999. I paid £1,000 for it. It was
a bag of sand. Get yourself a Polo, £1,000.
But now, £500 would get you absolutely nothing. You could maybe fill up your truck like twice. So if you was paid in silver or gold 20 years ago, today, I mean, that would have gone up maybe 1,000%. So it would have been relative. And that's really the power of gold and silver, is not getting today out tomorrow, even though recently it has been moving in crazy ways, but it's about...
What do you mean crazy ways? Oh, escalating.
So yeah, silver is up 180% in the last 12 months. Gold is up 70%. So they've both increased dramatically, but really, we don't want to preach that. We would rather say, look, think of this on a 3 to 5 year hold as a minimum, ideally more of like a 10, 15 year hold. And that's where it's just preserving the value of your dollars, because they're going to keep printing more and more money. So, put it away, forget about it, and in 10, 15 years, it will just be relative.
Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube or X or anywhere else, please click the link in the description and join us on Rumble. If you haven't got Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now. And remember, our Reborn products are available to you, and get a subscription. It really supports me and helps me. If you find yourself at an award show saying, for example, everyone illegal is on stolen land anyway, try some of this delicious coffee beverage that will sharpen you up double quick. You'll think straight under that. If you find yourself about to make a claim about being on stolen land, you'll be able to see, hold on a minute, I can't say that. My own mansion's on stolen land. This is the Reborn Adaptogenic Mushroom Super Coffee. It's got ashwagandha and lion's mane in it. It keeps me sharp of mind, clear of thought, and dexterous of tongue. That's linguistically dexterous to you and me. Give it a try. Get a subscription.
Let's think about this for a moment. Like I'm trying to teach my children. Like I'm teaching them, when you're doing that Spanish lesson, kids, I'm a little bit later, I'm going to want to see you talking some Spanish at me. And like when you're doing that basketball lesson, next time you're on the court, I'm going to want to see that you aim at that top right corner, or that you're able to keep your eyes up when you're dribbling, right? Don't see everything as just some sort of irrelevant participatory exercise. Now imagine this, in 10 or 15 years, think of how the world was 10, 15 years